What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel on a Wednesday night. It's February 7th. It's 8 o'clock Eastern time on the dot, and we're talking some Notre Dame football and recruiting. Tim, you doing well, my friend? I feel like we haven't caught up in a little while, so what's new with you, man?
Hey, I became an uncle for the 14th time just 24 hours ago. So life is good. Life is good. That's 14. I got 14 uncle gifts now I got to do. So I'm hyped up. So
14 is a good bit.
Yeah. Yes, 14 of those. So that's cool. So I'm the crazy uncle at Thanksgiving. So there you go.
Yeah, Jay Carr says Tim's on a boat. Convict Inc. says hit that like. So please do that. Frank says congrats, Uncle Hyde. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely congrats, Tim. And I need to let you know and let the people know that I will be off next week. So no show, Tim. So let your wife know. No show next Wednesday. Because
the Caribbean is this your yearly Caribbean cruise?
No, Tim, what's amazing about this trip is usually if I do some kind of cruise or something I did last May or one of our best friends here turned 30 and we went to Mexico, Cancun for her. You know what I'm doing?
Oh boy.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, we're going to go stay at our condo for a couple nights and then we're going to come back home and we're going to go see Hamilton. He's coming to town, so that's going to be really cool. But otherwise, dude, I'm not traveling really anywhere, so it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice.
You're gonna do your show with Kyle on Friday, and then you're like, see you guys in
pretty much. We have our big recruiting magazine, which I would recommend folks check out bluegoldonline.com for that. But that's due next Tuesday. It's our published date.
Okay.
So I'm kind of getting all my stuff turned in, but prior to Sunday's my goal to have everything done so I can unplug completely. So that'd be nice.
That's funny. Just 30 seconds before we get going. I know I texted you like a couple of weeks ago. We were chatting about something, and I literally I started going through all my blue and golds and just trying to find the February one, the recruiting issue, the March one, whatever the month is.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to a lot of those Holt years. Because that was the magazine. It's the same thing. Obviously, back then it was all paper. Now it's glossy. It's its own little showcase, so to speak, which is awesome. So you haven't told me who's on the cover, so I don't want to know.
Oh, you're right. You
told me
we haven't finalized the cover. The text of it needs to change, and I'm going to explain why actually in our first topic.
Okay.
But there are 2 players on there, Tim. I'll give you a guess. If you can pick the 2 players that are on there, I'll tell you if it's yes or no, and if you got it correct.
Well, you got to go. I mean, CJ Carr's got to be one of them.
I'm not saying yes or no. You got to pick the 2. This is a parlay. So who do you think Carr would be on there with?
I'll go Carr and Cam Williams on this year's cover.
Ding, 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 ding.
Holy, look at Tim Hyde. Look at that. No insights.
Okay. Well, when we were talking about the cover, last year we put Drake Bowen on there.
Yep.
From a visit photo. And then the year before was Jalen Sneed, a picture I took. And then the year before that was Blake Fisher, a picture I took. And I've just really been liking those visit photos for the cover of this magazine as my cat just decided to jump into my lap as we record this. Yeah, as soon as you started talking about the cover, I was like, man, I remember a photo shoot that Cam Williams and CJ Carr took together in a spring visit last year, and we got to put that on the cover. And we got the thumbs up to do that, so that's going to be really cool. So again, bluegoldonline.com. I'm going to type it in the YouTube chat if I can. Okay, so Blue Gold Online. Nobody. Sorry, this is very professional organization we have going on here. So bluegoldonline.com. Our magazine is obviously it's kind of weird to explain because it's both blue and gold, but it's kind of like a separate entity. And that, like, if you're a magazine subscriber, that doesn't mean you get the website subscription and vice versa. So yeah.
No, if you're
it's bluegoldonline.com, not blue and gold.
Well, yeah, if anyone doesn't get blue and gold, definitely get it. But the recruiting one, it's a keepsake. the way it's been done as of late, it's just 100% recruiting issue, full dive into everything. So I want to, yeah, like I was telling you, Mike, when I text you, I've been starting to just go through them all. Found Goolsby's when he signed. Had to read the little hype they wrote on him, which was fun. But yeah, I want to say I got like 30 of them. So starting to stack those bad boys, and it's awesome to go back 10 years from now, and especially now with the portal, it's going to be 10 years from now. It's going to be even wilder to read. But to see who's who's in the NFL, who made it, all those types of things, going back to the loose emoji, rule of threes when it comes to recruiting, which we'll get into later. But
yeah,
it's a great issue. So I'm glad we got to chat about that to start the show.
Yeah. So you have your big subhead or whatever. Then you have like that short little sentence that, gives you a little sneak peek of the magazine. Well, we had like Cam Williams, CJ Card lead the Notre Dame class. And it said something like third straight top 10 class. And as you told me today, I didn't realize this.
Someone posted it, yeah.
Notre Dame fell out of the freaking top 10 today of the On3 team industry rankings, which was like, damn.
So where?
I knew it was possible that this could happen. So whenever I was like Notre Dame, you know me, Tim. You read my articles. You listen to me yap. I love that stat. And now they fell to 11. Look how close it is. Florida's at 92.02 and Notre Dame's at 91.95. It's so close. But, I will add a little,
So where do they drop in the industry? Which one? It's like they drop in.
I don't know. I think, Tim, see, that's what it's not that Notre Dame dropped because their rankings hasn't changed. Just Florida got a player that moved them up.
Is that who it was? Was Florida?
Florida jumped. I mean, Florida's in 10, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if they win or Oklahoma went. Florida jumped. I don't remember the last top 10.
So Justin just asked in the chat, any chance we can rise again? Yeah, maybe if someone has a decommitment or, but otherwise. I will. So this is the On3 industry team ranking. Which it's an average of your recruit ranking. It's not like the weird arbitrary point system at Rivals that I hated. But if you remove the industry part and now it just says team football recruiting rankings, Notre Dame's still at 8. So I know you On3 people, do you think On3's ratings suck? I'm sorry that you don't like, the website that ranks Notre Dame the highest right now. At least to my knowledge, last time I checked. So the industry is actually bringing Notre Dame's ranking down again. So On3 has Notre Dame ranked 8th, and that's just the On3 player rankings. But when you include the 24/7 ESPN and Rivals player rankings, Notre Dame goes down to 11.
It's a pitch. It's crazy. It's
so there you go. But yeah, but I then can't go, oh, this is still a top 10 class. When we do industry ranking, like when you read my articles at Blue and Gold, I don't use the On3 ranking. I use the industry ranking. Sometimes I'll make a note of both rankings, but we go with the industry ranking. So Tim, when you look at this top 11, what are your thoughts here? Do you look at the top, you say, wow, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, who would have thunk it?
Well, that's why I call them the big three. People don't like when I call them that, but they are the big three when it comes to recruiting. But you know what, Mike? I'm always fast. I mean, since especially since Freeman, I even went back and charted like Kelly's class, the reboot, starting with the 17 class all the way to now. And I'm always trying to see how close are they to a top 5. And I know I talked about this before. They are like one player away.
Yeah.
The last few classes, literally one guy away from being a top 5. Even Mike, even this year, it's funny you bring that up. I actually, during lunch today, I was like, I need something to do for 20 minutes. And Miami's number 5, right? They stayed at number 5. This is crazy. Miami, number 5, Notre Dame 11. This is how close they are. The blue chip for Miami, they're top heavy. They're 48% blue chip ratio. Only 48. They're a top 5 class with only under 50% 4 and 5 stars.
So how does that make you feel about your beloved blue chip ratio?
Well, it's just massively top heavy, which goes back to Notre Dame, I think, is 0.8 points away, meaning they're one guy away. Miami got 2 Chicago guys. Had Notre Dame, gotten a Justin Scott or Marquise Lightfoot, let's say Notre Dame is number 5. That's how darn close they are. Check this out. A couple little data things. Mike Singer always loves the data, so I get the data. Notre Dame, I'm a big, and looking at players ranked 500 and lower. So you got, obviously, Miami ranked number 5. Miami has 10 players ranked 500 or lower. Notre Dame's only 7. 10. Once again, massively top heavy. And then another little stat is, I heard Charles Power talk about this one time, talking about NFL guys. So I like to use the NFL number from 1 to 270, in the 260s, depending on how many supplemental picks you get, so to speak. Miami with 12 in the top 260, Notre Dame 11. So they're basically tied. Once again, 1 player away. So it's wild. Even though they're 11, they're closer to 5 than they are like 15, 16. You know what I mean? Dropping even lower. So, and it's been like that with the 23 class, the 22 class, how 1 guy away. So Notre Dame has, you talk about this 1,000 times, how it is different, but it has to keep going to another level. And I think, those guys are working at it. So it's a fascinating thing to see how close Notre Dame is. And I found that fascinating because I clicked on the blue chips of all the top 10, and only the big 3. I think Florida has 70 out of 70%.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
20. But but Notre Dame and a bunch of others are right in that high 50 range this year. It's like a hodgepodge of the same type of guys. And obviously the big 3 are just crazy high as could be up there with their.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. 500 and below. Like I said, Miami's number 5. They signed 10. Georgia only signed 3. Bama, Ohio State only signed 4. So, and that's like the most Bama's done in ages, I think, if I remember right from looking at them before. So, just cool little fun with numbers with recruiting. But it's, even though you say 11, it's like a giant 5 teams are all within, 1 guy apart. So it's pretty close. It's a solid class, which is 3 years consecutive with Freeman. It's the highest 3-year blue chip ratio total rolling over 3 years that they've had since this has gone out. So just keep stacking players. And obviously they're doing that with this 25 class right now.
Folks, got a couple of questions to ask you. And it's, are you a corporate executive? A displaced corporate executive? Are you looking to put your life and career in your own hands? Maybe you're an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify. Well, Andy Ludicky can help you out. Andy's a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. And using Andy's expertise, he's going to help you find your American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. So give Andy a call, put your life and career in your own hands. And best of all, his services are 100% free to you. So what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Give Andy a call at 404-973-9901, myperfectfranchise.net. Tim, did you get to watch my video on John Kennedy's channel with Goolsby? Did you get to see that?
No, I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah.
You send me a link or something. I'm going to watch it when I'm, me and doing dishes. That's mandatory. So no, I did. So I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Something, but I didn't read
so
it.
Folks, if this is the first you're hearing of it too, go to John's channel, Always Irish, check it out, and comment, say, hey, Mike Singer sent me. Mike Singer told me to come watch. So John's a friend and does great work, and we had Goolsby on there too. So it was like part, let's just kind of shoot the shit about Notre Dame's 2024 season. And then transitioned into, they just kind of rapid fire asked me about my job. So if you're interested in like a little bit behind the scenes on what kind of goes through my mind and reporting and some of these things, you can check that out over at the Always Irish YouTube channel. So it was really cool. So again, I had a lot of fun with that. Moving along the show, Mr. Hyde. We were gonna maybe talk about this last week if I remember. And then we push into this week looking at the way too early depth charts on both sides of the ball that our coworkers Jack Sobel and Tyler Horka put out. So I figured, Tim, do you just want to like go through it?
Yeah,
Just go through both sides of the ball and
it's a perfect time here in the first week of February. You're getting ready to hit vacation. Let's see the way too early, and we'll see what changes here. Obviously, when spring ball gets rocking here pretty soon.
So this is the offense. Jack Sobel wrote this. Any quarterback, he has Steve Angeli. Oh, damn it. Oh, no, he's got Riley Leonard. So he got Riley Leonard 1, Steve Angeli 2, and then he's got, others listed, Kenny Minchie and CJ Carr. I know people think that Angeli might, get jumped by Minchie, or I just would be shocked if that happens, but I've been shocked before. But I do like Angeli there.
And just to bounce off your point, if Steve stays number 2, that means he's just obviously just keeps improving since he's been there. I mean, he's going to hold off 2 really good quarterbacks. Minchie's a darn good football player. CJ Carr, I know he's only a freshman, darn good quarterback. So those guys are going to, those are some big time recruits. So, they're going to get some reps. You got the new OC. They're going to see what they could do. So that's good. I've been saying it. I can't wait. The battle for number 2, because it's going to set up 2025. It just is. It just is. And if it doesn't, like you said a week ago, go into the damn portal again.
No.
But they're not, because the battle for number 2 is going to be vicious in a good way. Really highly competitive. You got 3 darn good quarterbacks. And we all know all 3 are not staying here through their, they're all not getting a Notre Dame degree. Let's just be honest about that. So This is going to be an epic battle for number 2, because Riley Leonard, who knows, heck, he got hurt last year. He's in a boot a week ago. Who's to say something doesn't happen again?
Dude, the whole boot thing, like, what the hell was that? I have no idea what the hell. Every one of their brothers reporting about this, and then Notre Dame posts a picture of Riley just working out, and then he met with the media. He's, just in his tennis. I don't know what that was going on there, but regardless, he's going to be fine by spring ball. So
exactly.
But still, you got to knock on wood.
You always have to be prepared, and that's, if anything under Marcus Freeman, it's be prepared. As we've seen, for his 2 years, you just don't know. Steve Angeli, we didn't know was going to be number 2 last year, and Buckner leaves. So you just don't know how this thing's going to play out over spring. But if Angeli stays number 2, seriously, give him a big high five, because he's going to earn it. Whoever comes out of spring has earned that right to be Riley Leonard's.
Yeah. Jay Carr says that's the biggest water bottle I've ever seen. Yeah, it's a gigantic water bottle. This is how I make sure. It's like one of those, like, you go to the gas station, you have to spend $3 on water, but I just kept it and make sure I drink all my water. So yes, we'll move along. Running back, Jeremiah Love 1, Jadarian Price 2. I don't know if on all of these positions if you just kind of go top. I guess he just went top 2 at all of these,
and then
just kind of lumped everyone else together. But Jeremiah Love 1, Jadarian Price 2.
I'm going with Price. I bet you Price.
You think Price 1?
Yeah.
I think Price is your bell cow, and then Love is kind of like your move around guy.
You can't go wrong with. They're both so darn talented, but man, what Price showed in that bowl game, because once again, he's coming back off that Achilles, and they did not just, throw him into the fire, so to speak. He got his reps here and there, got a little taste, had a little specialty things. He was the screen guy, obviously the big kickoff return for a touchdown, and they just kept giving him. And I remember an interview, he's like, I'm ready. I'm 100%. Just give me more. But I think those Notre Dame coaches were like, obviously we got this NFL running back in Audric Estime, sprinkle him in a little bit, and they kept doing it all year. He's a better running back, like as far as reading, cutting. He had a duo where he broke to the left outside for a big first down run, which is just natural instincts. Love is a freakish, skillful player. So I bet you at the end of the year, my prediction is Jadarian's going to have the most carries when it's all said and done.
Okay. Moving along to the receiver positions. Interesting. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not even looked over this yet. Field, Chris Mitchell, and then behind him, Cam. Boundary, Bo Collins. Behind him, Jaden Thomas. Slot, Jaden Greathouse. Behind him, Jordan Faison. And then Jaden Harrison, the Marshall guy, not in Jack's too deep. This is a really difficult position to project. Deion Colsey, a senior, not in the too deep. Jaden Thomas, not your number one. Interesting stuff. Now, receivers rotate in and out a ton when you have a healthy room, like Notre Dame against Duke. Couldn't really do that. But so at some of these positions, they rotate a ton. It's more about snaps than like who's a starter. But I know some Notre Dame fans would push back on some of this, especially like Faison. I think some Notre Dame fans might be like, take Faison over Greathouse. I could see like, hey, I'd rather go, with our guy Jaden Thomas rather than the 1-year rental. What do you think about this, Tim? Receiver is probably the most interesting position to look at all these spots.
Real quick, let's just go. Thomas obviously he's been around. We know about him. He's played. He's been a big part of it. But where's he best at? A wing, a slot, an inside guy. That thick wide receiver, smallish tight end combo guy. I don't think he's a boundary guy going to go win 50-50 balls and go win jump balls and back shoulder fades. He didn't do it last year. So that's something I don't know if that's his strongest position. Mike, I'm telling you, man, I think this whole thing is just throw this whole 2 paragraphs away. It's going to be a total redo, I think, in the spring. Jaden Greathouse, he has to be on the field because he's probably the most natural route runner. Great hands. Yeah. He's that shifty underneath dude. He's the closest thing to I'm thinking of the Patriot slots. They had 80 of them. Welker, those types of guys. Not this year they didn't, as we know, Mike. But anyway, but just going back to that trustworthy guy, I think that's him. Faison's got the speed. Who's to say? Why can't Faison play outside? The dude is fast, the fastest one in that group. Just get him out there and let him run vertical and go chase it down. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Obviously, they got Mitchell. They want to be a dude. Obviously coming in with all the experience. Having Cam in there as a freshman, is that a numbers thing? We'll know more after spring what his role is. If he makes it into the top 2, but obviously him, Gilbert, those guys, the higher ranked guys are going to get a shot because they're very good dynamic receivers.
Yeah. A couple thoughts before we move on to tight end, Tim. Jack notes in his article, I'm going to read it. It says, you could project Faison, Thomas, and Williams, who he has number 2 in all these, as the starters, and the response would be, I could see that. I completely agree. Like, if he had it flipped, you'd probably be arguing the other way. And then your other thing about Faison, Tim, he's fast, but he's not – I just don't think that's his skill set. I don't think his skill set's outside receiver.
I know, but it goes back to what I talked about 1,000 times at the end of the season, because Greathouse is playing outside, which is not where he's good at. You got to find a way. If you're going to utilize the best skill wide receivers, you got to find a way to get Greathouse.
But that was out of necessity, it. So
Greathouse and Faison have to be on the field at times together. So they do.
Yeah. Well, you can go 10 personnel and play them both, or whatever it may be. But I just don't think like Faison is like a route runner, and I think he's more of a slot. But if you just put him outside and run 9 routes all day long,
That's it, baby. Like someone just wrote Matt Shelton. Ask Goolsby about Shelton. Fastest dude. That's all he ran was 9 routes for Notre Dame during those Willingham years. I
just think Faison can be more than that.
I totally agree as well. I think Greathouse is just a special wide receiver that they got 2 really good ones. One of them is going to be on the bench, and that's going to be 2 of them will be on the bench if they're doing 12 personnel. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of 12 this year. I just don't.
No. All right, this is what I'm going to respond with, Tim. What about 10 personnel? And why not? Why don't we have both? Why don't we have both on the field? You go 4 receivers, you can have 2 slots. So
That'll be a
That would be
different style
nice.
of run game. Now you're looking at true zone read, quarterback type runs. If you want to go true spread, get everyone to cover receivers, let Riley Leonard run wild.
Sound fun?
And then Mitch Evans, Raritan, Flanagan, enjoy the bench. We'll see you at goal line.
Oh, listen, Notre Dame's got to be a multiple offense. Evans can play some X receiver. Like I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, it's fun. You got some exciting tools, I think, to work with at the receiver position. I think about a couple of years ago, Deion Colsey, catching those 3rd and 15 in breaking routes. Like, I mean, he's like one of the last receivers we're talking about on this team, and he's still a talented player. So they're still unproven. I mean, you're bringing in some good transfers, but not proven at Notre Dame yet. Jaden Harrison is a good player. I think Jaden Harrison, from what I was told by some sources, the Marshall transfer is like a return guy and quality over quantity in terms of like when he touches the ball. But I think some good things are going to happen, big plays, but it might not be a ton. So we'll see there. But we got to continue along, Tim, unless you want to go an hour here tonight.
Let's go.
Tight end, Mitchell Evans 1, Eli Raritan 2. I think that is probably pretty accurate. Flanagan, Sherwood, Bauman. Gosh, you forget Bauman's still on the team. He came in Michael Mayer's class. Mayer's going into his 2nd year in the NFL. Bauman's still at Notre Dame. So Bauman's coming back. That would be of course Evans coming back. So that would be, I don't know how much time we need to spend on that, Tim. But I still think Jack Larson could be a sneaky, play a bigger role as a freshman than you'd expect guy.
That will be well then once again, if he's being that type of role guy, does that mean he's the wing player, he's the hip, he's the slot? That means Thomas is not Thomas, it's not Greathouse. You start moving all these types of parts. But my big question is just Mitch Evans. When does he come back? Do they treat him like an Eli Raritan? Because obviously with his injury, or his injury was against Pitt. So that's the 1st of November-ish, late October, whatever that date was. I don't remember. But so does he come back like Raritan did against Louisville, which was October time frame? So maybe we won't see Mitch Evans until game 5. So which means it's going to be Raritan, Flanagan, or your surprise pick was Flanagan last year. The dude played in every game. So does Mike Singer go with Mr. Larson this year?
Flanagan was sourced. That was sourced info that when I said that, I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm hearing. Larson's more of a gut feeling because I could see him as a move tight end, or knock on wood, there's injuries at that position. I could just see him because he's a pretty good pass catching receiver. I think he could have a role. I don't know. We'll see.
He's a hell of a receiver. That dude can catch. His highlight from the special.
Yeah. Let's look at the tackles. Left side, Jagasaw. Right side, Baker. And then backing up Jagasaw, Jack Scott, and Lambert. And then right side, he's got Wagner. And then, the others he has listed here, Chan, Absher, Prescott. We haven't seen these guys yet, so they really could be tackle or guards. They all, especially Absher and Prescott, came in as tackles, but we'll see. But what are your thoughts on this?
The top 3 are obviously Tosh, Emil, and Charles. We know those 3 are going to be battling for 2 spots. Kirby's not here until the summer, so the odds of him being number 2, that's tough. That's just tough to come in. If you're not here all winter and spring, learning all that, now you're thrown into that come the summer. So we'll see what happens there. The wild card, I mentioned this a week or 2 ago, is Absher. His senior film was outstanding. The kid is explosive off the ball. He's huge, perfect size for offensive tackle. Does he develop as a true tackle? Because he was never a pass blocker. He played in that solid split back veer, pound the rock offense in high school. So he's the wild card in spring. He's the one I'm really, really looking forward to learning about the most, just where he slides in, if he is a backup, or is he going to get moved to a guard, which if that happens, Mike, who in the world are the tackles, the backups? It's going to be, because 3 of them, we know Notre Dame has 3 tackles. We know Charles Jagasaw could play. We know Tosh Baker could play. We know Emil Wagner, if he had to start, could play. I truly believe that. So you have 3. Now it's going to be a battle to see what the 4 is. But I think going into A&M, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just the Sun Bowl guys, Tosh Baker and Charles Jagasaw.
So it's kind of 3 guys for 2 spots on the guard positions too. Jack Scott Coogan one at left guard, Pendleton. Excuse me. Pat Coogan's one at left guard, Pendleton's 2, and then the right side, he's got Rocco 1, Trouth 2. Yeah, I mean, I could hear arguments for like any 2 of that 3, starting at the guard spots.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 guys that have started football games, 3 guys that have played big time football. So you're going into spring, you're going into training camp, the same mindset of, we know we have 3 to play 2. We know we have a damn good quality starting backup, assuming all 3 stay, however that works. Good news. I think we heard a few weeks ago that Rocco's definitely going to be back for the spring. Probably not going to be doing a lot of hitting and all that, but he's going to be out there doing the drills, working. His knee injury's gone good. So that's really good news from there. But Billy Schrauf is going to start at one of them. The way he played those at the end of the season, he looks like a dude for the next couple of years. You're not going to take him out. And it's hard. People always go poo-poo on Pat Coogan, man, but it's hard to sit someone with 13 starts, 700 snaps, a guy who went from dead to starting under Joe Rudolph. No one even talked about him, and he starts 13 games. Yeah. It's hard to say, it's time for you.
All right, Craig is listed at the center position. Yeah, that's not really any surprise. Dude's a stud, and looked really good at the end of the season. But I think a part of it with Pat Coogan was, Chicago Marist, and he picked Notre Dame over some big time schools, but didn't have this hyped up recruitment. Who did? Spindler. Picking Notre Dame over Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State in the 21 cycle, and highly ranked guy, top 100 prospect. Billy Schrauf, top 100 prospect. Wisconsin, Notre Dame was, oh my gosh, that one was I think he was rumored to be, all right, is he committing this month for a year straight? It was seriously a really long time until he finally committed. So, maybe even a little bit longer than a year.
And then real quick off that, with Coogan and so many of even going back, even guys on defense, it's like he's going into his second year as a starter, so he's going to take all of that experience and keep growing off of that. So that's why I say it's hard to sit someone with 13 starts. So I fully expect him to be in there.
Speaking of being in there, folks, when you're in Augie's locker room, when you're in South Bend, you got to head over to Augie's locker room. It is the place for one-of-a-kind Notre Dame items. And it's at a new location, 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend. It's right down the street from Notre Dame. Again, folks, so new location for Augie's locker room, 1733 North Ironwood Drive. Just across the street from Notre Dame. So whether you're a local or you're driving or you're in town for a sporting event, whatever it is, you got to make time in South Bend for Augie's locker room. Check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockne items. Check out their exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues that you'll find around the stadium. Augie gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have it for you, he's going to go find it, just like he found Goolsby's jerseys that you can find in his sweet setup. So visit Augie, 1733 North Ironwood Drive. Visit Augie'sLockerRoom.com. Give him a call, 574-277-6363. Shall we move to the defensive side of the ball, Tim?
Yeah, let's go. Bunch of dudes returning.
So this is written by Tyler Horka, outstanding writer. For Viper, he's got Patelho 1, Burnham 2, Tubihala 3, and then in the others category, Kanukia, Boubacar Traore. Where's Traore at? Is he in the defensive end group, field end?
No, he was in the Viper. He had him in the other Viper.
I know, but I'm like, did he list him in the other group too? I mean, I don't know, defensive end, is another position where they rotate a good bit, and play some
Yeah,
different
for
guys.
this, I mean, Burnham's been he's going to play the field side from what it sounded like. Like he's going to make that move to be the wide side guy. So because if they're keeping all three of those, there's no way in the world Boubacar Traore is 4-string.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's transferring if he's 4-string.
Come on, take it easy.
Who the heck wants to sit around and be a 4-string guy? Nobody.
Someone's got to be fourth string guys. Someone's got to.
Oh man, no. I mean, Botello is just like a Pat Coogan. Just like someone's mentioned about Ashton Craig needs to get stronger. Of course, he's only a redshirt freshman. He's going to keep getting stronger. He's only going to be going into his first full year as a starter with some reps on him. So Jordan Botello is a guy that played Rover. People need to forget he was a Rover. Played Rover at times, then Viper, back to Rover. He did not finally settle in until that last half of 22. He's been here since 2020. So he finally settled in. He's got 1 full year of experience under his belt. Expect him to have a bigger year. Burnham played with his hand in the ground all season long. So he's going to be a true D end. And it's going to be the battle for number 2, which I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Tuli Alamaka has always been a Mike. I've never understood that move. He played as a freshman at times as a true Mike backer. He's a really good thumper inside. Boubacar is the most natural pass rusher, a Foskey, a Julian Okwara, that type of guy. So they got to find a way to get him on the field for 25, 30 snaps and just let him wreak havoc.
Okay. Moving to the interior defensive line. I think this article was written before the Rubio news broke. And I don't know. I think some people are just like saying, no, Rubio's done. That's it. It's my understanding that he's maybe going to be back for spring ball. I don't really know, to be completely honest, but got Gabe Rubio is listed at 2, but Devin Houston could take that backup role and be the spell to Howard Cross. Of course, huge news for Notre Dame to keep him for another year, and then also Riley Mills, big for the Irish to have him back for another year. So you got over at D tackle Riley Mills, then Jason Onyé, Donovan Heinisch listed here by Horka. So there's nothing really here to discuss, Tim. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, the biggie is obviously just, if Rubio comes back, I'm sure he was not expecting a 5th-year senior and a 6th-year senior coming back, and he's going into his 4th year. So that's a tough one to sit back and figure out. Does he want to be a backup all year again and then have 1 full year as a starter as a 5th-year guy? So I'm sure he's going through a million things thinking of all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the 2 starters coming back are NFL football players. Mills and Howard Cross would get drafted. Had they gone to the NFL, they're getting drafted. But so Notre Dame is loaded inside. What happens now with Devin Houston, who is the scout team player of the year, which means he's playing his butt off at practice. Brendan Vernon, I bet you, is going to move inside. So does Vernon. Houston, do they make moves against Heinisch, against Onyé? Onyé's going into his 4th year as a backup. So do some of these younger guys that have been in the higher ranked guys, really, really super talented linemen, do they start to pass up some of these older backups? So it's going to be a fun spring.
Yeah, Sean Sevillano's listed at defensive tackle. He's a nose.
Yeah, he's never
he's like 300 some pounds. Yeah, he's a nose for sure.
He is in one spot and going to sit there and play for 4 years in the A gap. Enjoy getting double teamed for the next.
That field end, RJ Oben, Tyson Ford. It's also got Aiden Gobira, Brendan Vernon, Bryce Young. It's a pretty talented group.
Yeah, Oben's super talented. Great get off. Long as could be. But that's going back to Burnham. Burnham's probably going to be the backup. This Ford's one of those 3rd-year guys we want to talk about of where what's he going to do? Been in the system, so they definitely have depth. Going back to Gobira, the same thing. How's he coming back from his knee injury? Is he going to be full go in the spring? Yeah. Super talented player who missed all of last year, as we know, got hurt in training camp. So DN, I mean, they got a bunch of dudes. They need to find an elite pass rusher, and I think that hidden guy is Traore. Unless Botella just kicks it into a gear into his 5th year after being at the same position for the first time in his career, back-to-back seasons. So we'll see what happens there.
It is nice to go through some of these positions. You're just like, man, there's a lot of guys like some good problems to have. I feel like where you're like, knock on wood, they stay healthy and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I was optimistic about the receiver group going into last year, and then by the Duke game, they have 3 healthy guys on scholarship. So that's how it can be. All right. So this is kind of an interesting thing. Now Notre Dame's going to live so much in the nickel, so you don't know how much they're actually going to have a Will, Mike, and Rover on the field at the same time. But these guys are all going to play. So at Will, he's got Bowen 1, Zinter 2, Mike, Jack Kaiser 1, Kingston 2, and Rover Sneed, and then Osbury. What's your read?
My opinion is we quit talking about Rover. It's going to get used. Goal line teams with 2 tight ends when it's 3rd and 1. I mean, we don't see it. It's single digits every game when you got 3 backers. Like I chart every play when I'm watching it. We do our live show together of just 3 linebackers, 3, and it's single digits. So get rid of it. I mean, Notre Dame's not a 3 linebacker defense, and that's fine. It's a matchup defense, and they don't need 3 backers out there. So it is going to be wild because Kaiser's not a Mike to me. I don't think he's going to be a thumper, a fill guy, the read and react type of guy that we saw with JD Bertrand. So is the Mike going to be Bowen and Kingston, Asa just going at it? Are those 2 guys just going to battle like crazy for the Mike? And then your Will is Kaiser. And then the wild of wild cards heading into year 3 is Jalen Sneed. It's like, is he just a gadget guy? Is he just your dime pass rusher? Is he just your Maris Leofau who's on the field in certain packages and things of that nature? So heading into game 1, I would think it's Bowen at Mike, Kaiser at Will, right? I mean, Kaiser came back to start, so he's starting somewhere. And I think that would be Will, which he's played the most of his. I mean, he's going into his 6th year. So
yeah,
he's had 5 years of playing Will. I know he's playing Rover, but he was only on the field in Rover and really goal line type of situations.
I'm with you. I mean, the Sneed thing, you can be that gadget guy and you probably still will get drafted just like Marist will. Yeah. I'm guessing is going to get drafted. Sure. I don't pay attention a whole lot to the NFL draft stuff, but you're just not at that point living up to the 5-star ranking that you had by on 3. Yeah. Still a really good player, but it's just not to that hype. Kind of like Chris Tyree. It's like, all right, you could go play in the NFL, but you're not. That your career was not what we thought it was going to be. Didn't live up to that hype. Still a really good player. I like Kaiser at Will, and then I'm not sleeping on Kingston Veliamiwasa for Mike at all. That's going to be really interesting between him and Bowen.
And then the 5th one, Mike. I mean, probably one of the most physical guys out there who could run and hit is Jaden Osbury. So Jaden Osbury is a redshirt.
He's going to play football for this team this year. He's going to be playing. So,
but he's going into spring as a 3rd stringer. So where does he find his role? It's going to be there's very good linebackers. I mean, as you've talked 1,000 times, they have recruited linebackers. This is a really good core group. Their 2 deep is solid. So, and then you still got to find a piece for a couple of these guys. And when we say gadget and packages, Notre Dame lives in these things.
Yeah,
they're
play a lot.
Defense every play. If they shut them down on 1st down, it's 2nd and 8. They're in this scheme. If it's 3rd and 9, they're going to their Aztec, which is dime, 100% of the time. Yep. They're but their front is constantly changing. There's times where there's only 1 down lineman on the field. Heck, Mills was out of the package all last season. They moved Jordan Botelho to 3 tech last year in that package. He was the 3 tech, crossed the nose, and then you had JJB and Maris as your rush ends, and then Sneed evolved into that as well. So they're a constant package rotation thing. So if you're not the starter on 1st down, it's like don't get frustrated. You're going to play a lot of snaps.
Yeah, for sure. Moving along, I don't think we really need to talk about Ben Morrison. He's going to play his last season. Goodbye. Have fun in the NFL. Thank you for your 3 years. Field corner, Gray versus Mickey's going to be really interesting. I think Christian Gray, like Mickey's a really good player. Christian Gray's ceiling is just so incredibly high, like his God-given abilities, his speed and his length, and Mickey's going to play a ton of ball as well. Like these guys are all going to play, and yeah, Mickey's been pretty good. So this sentence that Tyler wrote here, Mickey started the Sun Bowl, but Gray ended up playing 5 more snaps. So that's actually interesting. So he says feels like Gray is trending towards taking over for for that Cam Hart position. So yeah, and then in the slot position, as you would expect, Jordan Clark, Notre Dame brought him in to be that like for like Thomas Harper replacement.
Yeah, the corners are going to be. The corner spot to replace Cam is going to be like the middle linebacker. You got to replace J.D. Bertrand, Cam Hart. Those battles are going to be vicious.
So that's why when you talk about the backup quarterback thing, I'm like, this is way more interesting than the backup quarterback.
Obviously these positions are going to impact immediately, but at the same time, they're going to play a lot of guys. Mickey and Gray could easily rotate and have no issue. They could rotate it at Mike Backer. My position for the backup QB, I'll just say over and over again, is just setting up for 25 to stop the portal. That's why that's so important. But Mickey, I'm with you, man. I think Christian Gray wins this thing. I think he's just he's an NFL-looking corner. The dude looks like he could play in the NFL in a couple of years. So I just have a feeling he's going to be out there. And Mickey's a pit bull, though. Do not underestimate that dude. High-end football out of Corona Centennial. Played against Bosco Mater Dei, all those guys each and every year is the big public school out there. So he's a pit bull. That dude's vicious. He's vicious, and so he's gonna play his butt off to get on that field.
Kind of interesting tidbits for you guys. I remember talking to a source on the Irish side of things early in the fall, and the feeling was like this has got to be like the national championship team, like a team to make that run. Because next year's team, you're losing a ton on defense. It's going to be a rebuild here on that side of the ball. But what's happened is you brought back Xavier. We'll talk about Watts in a second. You brought back Howard Mills and Riley. Come on, Singer. Howard Cross and Riley Mills. Tim, when we just went through that, and I know if they would have lost those guys, they'd probably just go to the portal, right? But
yes.
Who knows if guy portal is what it is, but like, man, you lose Cross and Mills, and you don't ever really know what you're getting in the portal guys. You got a good idea, but still, you don't truly know. The interior defensive line goes from a huge question mark if you don't have those guys come back to, wow, is that damn good? Look at the safeties, Tim. And you thank God that they kept Xavier Watts. Think they would have had to go get another portal guy and to replace Watts. Left safety here is Rod Hurd. He was kind of to use that term, gadget from. I haven't watched a ton of Northwestern football, but kind of played some different roles in that defense. And it's like, I don't think he ever played true safety, but he showed enough on film where Notre Dame's able to kind of translate him to a safety. So it's like, yeah, I was told like this, it wasn't a fantastic safety portal year. So yeah, this is a much stronger defense now than what it was looking like, when Notre Dame started to project what next year could look like, for the Irish to try to make another run at this thing. So a long way to kind of go back to the safety spot. Hurd and Watts, what you would expect. Behind those two guys is there's obviously talent, but just we know nothing about Ben Minnick and Don Schuler and these freshmen coming in.
No, you're right. But Schuler played a bunch in that bowl game. He looks the part, super athletic. You got to think he's going to have a shot to. We talked on the slot corner with, the nickel there with Lewis and Clark. There you go. Holy moly! How about that? Traveling the world together. But Clark. Can Clark play safety? If Clarence Lewis, because Clarence Lewis has played nickel, so it's not like he's never played that before. He has been on the field playing that a bunch. He was Harper's main backup last year. He was the one that went into there. It was Henderson the year before as the main backup. So, and Mickey. So do they move a few of those guys around? That's going to be interesting in there. Schuler is just going to, I think he's going to find a way to get on the field. I really do. I just think he's super talented. But like you said, 1,000 reps at Northwestern. The guy has played a boatload of football. So he's coming in to be a Brandon Joseph type guy, a guy with a lot of experience, a lot of reps, played high-end football that could play 55 snaps if needed on a Saturday on the back end and use that experience.
Tim, we had a couple more topics. I'm going to trust that you, when I text you, not next Wednesday morning, so the morning of the 21st, when I say topics ? The next two things that we're about to talk about, we're going to have to say for next week.
I still have a topic from last week I wanted to bring up. So
what was it?
I don't know. It's on a piece of paper somewhere, but it's start getting into some of those too early playoff predictions that are coming out, which I definitely want to dive into and really get into a little bit of that for Notre Dame, dissect Notre Dame's schedule, how it's going to boom up there with the other ones, because the schedule is tailor-made if they handle business. So just a few issues for us to start getting into here in the next 2 weeks. And then after we talk about that for a couple of weeks, it's spring ball, Mike.
Yeah.
Spring ball. And then we got our live show post. Man, this thing's starting to roll. It's starting to roll.
For sure. So we are going to end tonight's show. Tim and I have some more work we gotta do in preparation for, just recruiting and whatnot. So we are going to end the show there. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in live. If you're watching back or listening to the podcast version of the show, hit the thumbs up if you're on YouTube, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet, and leave us a kind review wherever you listen to your podcast. BlueandGold.com is your home for Notre Dame Fighting Irish football and recruiting. And our offer for you guys is $1 for 2 months. So you just pay $1. That's going to get you 2 months of access when you use the promo code UND1. So please check that out over at BlueandGold.com.
And the link to get the recruiting.
Blue Gold, yeah.
Make sure you post that somewhere for everybody.
BlueGoldOnline.com. I'm going to throw it in the chat one more time. BlueGoldOnline.com. So please do check that out. I think the magazine of 80 pages, just the information, and it's a keepsake. You're going to have it for years. If you're just getting a single copy, I think it's $5 plus shipping. I mean, it really is a steal of a deal. I don't know how it's not a lot more expensive than that. Yeah, check it out, BlueGoldOnline.com. He is Tim Hyde. I'm Mike Singer. Appreciate you all for watching. And as always, we will catch you next time. It won't be next Wednesday, the Wednesday afterwards, but I'll have my recruiting show live on Friday afternoon with Kyle Kelly. Again, thank you folks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.